shirts. Those are fun. I sent one to Chris Olson. She's
nice.
Oh, awesome.
It's like stickers. I collect stickers. That shirt.
The
nice.
unicornlabels.com.
Yep.
Nice. Hey, what are we talking about today? We're talking about Kind Bar packaging. The redesign. Is it good? Is it bad? It went from the clear plastic, super slick, nice packaging to paper. So we'll kind of get into that. See what you think.
The paperization.
That's right. And we got our buddy Corey Connor, Sustainable Packaging Podcast host. He's back. And Adam Peak, People of Packaging Podcast. What's up, guys?
We're having a pose off, so you're welcome.
Nice. Comment who wins that pose off. Yeah, I don't know. What's up, Adam? You missed us yesterday. What are you doing? How's it going?
I'm good. I decided to quit the show because when you make $3 million in one day, it's like, why am I doing this?
What's
anyway, up? Tomorrow maybe we'll talk about my secret to 57xing your ROI and how you can be a millionaire in one day like I am.
Yeah.
It's not a pyramid scheme, we promise. Yeah.
No, it's an inverted pyramid scheme where you are at the bottom as the lonely master and everybody else is above you
at the top,
funneling down all of their money into your coffers.
Did somebody mention Chris Olson? I heard somebody did.
Yeah, Chris, you're great. I'm excited for you to rock a packaging fashion shirt soon. It is on the way. So thank you for all your support.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we got? Fancy intro. You guys have gone big time. We have after.
Where have you been, Bob? This has been
all that investment from Adam.
Welcome to the future.
Yeah, it's on my meme coins. I've been dumping into the show.
So we got Hugh Curtis coming in. All right, man. Boys, what are we talking about?
Paperization of packaging.
Kind Bar goes paper.
Their plastic packaging was very thick, if I recall.
All right, so
really seemed like too much to me.
Maybe your fingers were a little too dainty to open.
That was it.
Maybe
I had to use a knife.
All right, what do you in the audience think of this new packaging? Like, does it make sense to go paper versus the plastic that was clear, or do you like this? Well, as we kind of get into it, we'll talk about the benefits. I know I've got an opinion on this, and these guys do too. Let us know. So, all right, Corey, you are Sustainable Packaging Podcast host. Going from this clear pack where you can see the product, and the product is the packaging in this big window pack, to this, what are your thoughts? Good, bad, ugly?
I think it's great. I think it looks great. I think it offers an opportunity to recycle, whereas the old material would have been very difficult because it's when you open one of these bars, you generally tear off part of it, so it's an even smaller piece. So if it's plastic, it's gonna go in the landfill generally, whereas this has an opportunity to be recycled, which I think is great. Or if it falls on into the environment, it will hopefully compost someday.
It'll degrade and turn into methane.
Bob says he'd buy it.
Yeah,
it looks good.
Okay.
I think the aesthetics are nice. I think it matches with the brand. I think it's a good evolution for the brand from an aesthetic standpoint. I think that they're also doing a good job of preparing for EPR regulation.
Yes.
And having a paper-based bar. I think the article said it's made by Print Pack. They said we don't have IP around this. We're actually spending more money on this than we were our traditional plastic flow wrap, and that's because we want to encourage people to talk to our vendor, to buy this, to buy more of it, to be in this type of packaging so that we can increase the recyclability of it. Right now, it's not curbside recyclable. I'd be curious how it runs through their machines.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge part of this. And then what if they did in fact hit the barrier properties? The oxygen and moisture is huge for this stuff. I mean, I know I've opened up Kind bars before and it was crunchy and kind of gross. And sometimes you open it and it's fresh. And so if that is going to ruin the customer experience, then it's a step down because they'll be creating food waste,
Right.
which is not good. So
Mhm.
that's always been the difficult part about switching to paper for this type of application is speed through the filling line. So throughput costs, sealing temperatures, and also just the barrier properties. And so if they hit it, which it sounds like they feel like they did, if they nailed it, then amazing. It's a huge win.
I'd
But
like
I
to
don't
find
know.
out how long they tested this and what the process looked like.
It said
I bet
2
it
years
was.
in the Fast Company article that they've been trying
Oh,
to
it did. I
develop.
was going to say,
Yeah.
I bet it was at least a year. Yeah.
Yeah, it says from this, just in terms of like a quick snapshot on the OPP versus this new product. Oxygen
OPP anyway, is what they're saying.
Yeah, it was actually oxygen transmission was actually lowered, as well as the moisture vapor. So actually, no, the moisture vapor went up. So it went from around 0.8 to a 2 grams per square meter per day, which, that didn't necessarily get better, but the oxygen transmission did. Now, my view of this, this is terrible. This is the worst. This is the worst thing you could do to a Kind bar. The one thing that made Kind bar stand out against everybody else was they had this crystal clear plastic. It was thick, but it was so clear. There was so much clarity around that product.
You could see it.
That
Right?
you could see it, and it looks appetizing. It's like appealing. Like, I want to eat that. I can see all the different ingredients right there. And then you put it behind paper and you print a crummy picture of what's inside, and that just doesn't feel as fresh. It looks like a Cliff Bar, which is just paper.
Cliff Bar is not paper.
Cliff Bar looks like paper.
Yeah, but it's not.
Doesn't matter. It looks
metallized, right?
Yeah, it's a metallized film. Evelio, you spend a lot of time on branding. Do you think that Kind has built up enough brand equity to where they can get away with printing it because people know what the bar is?
I don't think so. Because it's not like it's not like most people are going out and buying Kind bars every day. It's when you kind of happen to see it. You're like, oh, that looks fresh. Like, I'm going to go buy something. I'm going to buy a snack. And you look at you compare it to everything else. You're like, this looks the healthiest, freshest compared to the other products. So it helps you make that leap to make that decision. If I'm going to buy this, it just doesn't feel as good. I might buy something else that might look a little fresher or that has better marketing around it. Whether it's an RX bar or a midday square, like something different.
I wonder if this will hurt their sales. This will be really fascinating to watch.
Yeah. So in that question, so you're at the shelf, right?
Yeah.
If everything
looks the same,
if nothing is in this clear plastic anymore, right? Then you still have to make that decision. And so I think my question is, and maybe this is what Kind is banking on, is that they've been doing this for so long that in somebody's head, Kind bar is the healthy, clear option, right? Like that's what they've made that connection to it because of the
I just compare the two. This feels better, even if it's at the same price point, or maybe the price point goes up because this is a more costly wrap.
No, they said in the article they're keeping the price the same.
So then, just based on that, this feels like I'm getting a better product than this. Right? This feels a higher end
because studies show that paper elicits a more premium feel than plastic. Plastic emits a feel to consumers, like tactily. Plastic is cheap and paper is more expensive. So if the price point is the same, I think the data would suggest that moving to paper would increase somebody's likelihood
is wrong
to buy the premium product. You don't think so?
Well, I like Chris's point here. She doesn't even see the bar when she buys them. That's really important.
Yeah, D2C, this won't matter, right? Like someone's going to go on there, they're going to buy off reviews, they're going to buy off of whatever it is. But retail.
So we got a couple questions here. So one, Chris Olson's asking on the new paper laminate compared to the old plastic. I think we kind of covered a little bit of the moisture puncture barriers on here. What I'm seeing from looking at this company's material, they actually have multiple layers on here. They've got like a clay coat that fills in the pinholes in the paper. Then they've got, hang on, let me pull this up here.
Did you do this on purpose, Avelio, so I look like my logo? Is that, if you didn't,
that's the only way people recognize you. And you go like that.
They're like, oh, Corey's on.
Oh, who was that other guy? Yeah.
Yeah. But that's, like there's 3 different components to this coating that they put in here. And of course I don't have it handy.
On the paper.
Yep. Yeah. So they've got a PVOH for the oxygen barrier. Then there's an acrylic styrene for sealability. And then there's a clay coat for pinhole. It's like a clay cellulose nanofiber for pinhole fill, which all these different layers, I didn't even realize there were so many layers that went into this that just go over the paper.
The technology is amazing.
Yeah, it's insane. And then we got John Gregory. We run heat sealable paper packaging through our bag lines, and it runs great. It's more expensive than OPP and PE films, but it's fully curbside recyclable. The pushback we face is that consumers can't see the actual product. Bam, John, 100%. See, you guys are wrong. John is right.
Well, this is why it took 2 years, right? Because of exactly what Chris is saying. Puncture resistance, oxygen transfer, all of these things need to be tested for a long time.
Yeah. And Bob on the Cliff Bar metallized may as well just be plastic, which it pretty much is. We got Joe coming in on YouTube. I agree. I think they're going to want people to see what the actual product looks like. Don't use a picture to show it. 100%. The picture just looks cheap. Doesn't look good.
Wonder how they're printed. Adam, what do you think? How's that? How do they print that? Is it?
It's either probably rotogravure or flexigraphically. I'm going to guess. I guess it just depends on the volume. Those gravure plates are really expensive, but yeah. What does Hugh say? Protein bar space. This isn't really in. I don't. This is
a little fake. Right? So much competition, but they have legacy brands, and there's so many new brands. There are a ton of new brands.
Is this sold in the granola bar section or the protein bar section?
Good question.
It's in the granola bar section in my grocery store.
Yeah.
There's the open boxes of like Cliff kind, and then RX, like all those. Like there's a whole section of those open boxes that you can pull out, and then you can buy the full set. There's a ton of packaged food products. You can't see the actual product through the packaging. So why would consumers not buy based on printed image of the packaging? Because a big part of the decision making was the freshness that you saw. I know, like even just like flying Delta, like they hand these out and it looks good and clean. Going to paper just doesn't feel great. I think I'm going
to go ahead and predict that this has a positive impact on their sales and not a negative one.
Oh, I like that.
But how much marketing are they going to put behind it? That's the other thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's all that we're talking about anyways, right?
I'm not buying this ever again. Ever.
Man, they're gonna miss out on your $25 a year that you might have spent on
19.
Yeah.
I'm out.
What does Matt Kaufman say?
That says, my kind bars bounce around in my backpack for days. Chocolate melts and clear provides less appealing snacks sometimes. But more important to me is that the paper can someday be done with approved compostable materials. So the thing with compostable, all right. So first off, this thing is like this big. It's tiny. Mm-hmm. Is it going to make, you were just at a MRF, Corey. Is this thing actually going to make it through the process?
Maybe.
How likely? You mentioned that a lot of the small stuff just kind of falls through. So
they said 3 inches or less generally ends up on the floor.
And it's going to be flat. It's likely to be. I don't think this is curbside recyclable, right? Like They even said in the article, this probably has to go through like the Carton Council, just like Tetra Pak or something. Like, if I had to guess, you have to send this somewhere, and they admit that in the article. They're not saying that this is curbside recyclable through but that we can start to build that out. Like, it's not going to happen unless we start to build out some sort of demand and some sort of infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah, Ganapathy saying like paper coatings to improve paper barrier properties. Yeah, there's a ton of different coatings out there that can improve those barrier properties.
Even so many companies focusing on that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've got like Nopla's coating that they do, but it wouldn't work for this because like their coating, it's got a 6-month shelf life about, right? So that doesn't necessarily work for this.
I wonder how long the shelf life needs to be for this. Is it 2 years?
That's a good question.
I'd
like Pat,
we need to have them on here.
Yeah, like Pat said, like it bounces around as a backpack for a while.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you know, you aren't necessarily buying and eating, but if you're buying this off the shelf because of what the product looks like, I think you're pretty much eating it.
The problem with the paper, though, in that situation is, does it even potentially erode brand integrity because people buy these by the box, let's say, and then it might take them a while. So if they sat on the shelf for a year and then they're bouncing around, you go to eat it, now it's like way just like dry and crunchy. You might be like, Kind bars kind of suck now. So it might be fine for the retail shelf life, but because people maybe don't eat these right away, I would wonder if that could be a negative, where the OPP does provide a longer. I would imagine it provides a longer shelf life, even though it's naughty to nature.
Yeah, I mean, Chris buys the bars in a box.
Naughty to nature. That's a new packaging term. I love it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know, man. I think for me, it's a fail. You know, I think sustainability is great. You know, it's good. I like good stuff. But if you're building a brand and you've built it on this look, yes, brands can evolve, but going from plastic to paper isn't always a great thing.
But remember, though, you might, if you don't adjust early, you could miss out on selling into the 5th largest economy in the entire world, because California currently is going to ban that OPP type of film for these bars. And so if you get in early and you can help drive it, and then you get the early adopters in a state like California, which is, I'm going to have to imagine, the largest state for their sales. That's why I'm saying I don't think that they're going to see a downward. I don't think this is like the Tropicana or anything like that. I think that they're going to see sales either increase or stay flat. Yeah, I'm going to trademark that, Bob.
Pretty done. Bob already did it. You're late to the game.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Bob beat you to trademark naughty to nature. Yeah, I don't know. Visually, this is a fail for me. But if we're looking at it from the brand's side, EPR, I mean, that's huge. Right.
I like it.
If EPR goes nationwide, then I mean that's a huge impact.
I know we're kind of out of time, but Corey, I know you were at the SPC event, and you've obviously been following the Oregon EPR bill pretty closely. I wonder what the cost delta is now between paper-based for them in Oregon and OPP-based, if you look at the EPR fees, if it's actually cheaper to be in paper, even though it costs more.
Right. That's exactly the point of EPR, right? We're trying to make up that cost difference to make it more appealing for brands to use. And the list is very long. It's about 5 pages long for different materials. But you're right. Most of the plastics are significantly more expensive than papers.
Yeah.
And did you give us a per pound cost?
I think it's between 70 cents and $1.20. And I think that's significant to brands. It's gonna be a game changer.
Yeah, but paper's heavier. That's the other tricky part, is like, if it's by weight.
I'm often thinking in void fill, like to your point. So paper void fill can be very expensive, but I think new lightweight papers and new engineered papers, things like Papillon and Scotch Cushion Lock. Those things are really exciting, and they take up a lot of space and they don't weigh a lot.
Yeah, if you compare this on an LCA, like if you ran this through like Trayac or something, like what do you think the output's going to be on this?
Unfortunately, usually the plastic shows a better LCA from cradle to grave. But if we can look at the full circular effect and the paper, if it gets recycled, then all of a sudden it's a new story.
Yeah, because you're going to be comparing plastic to paper. So you've got tree fiber, you've got timber, you've got food waste risk, right? Because again, we don't know what the lifespan is on this particular product. Then you've got transportation weight, like you mentioned, the paper is going to be heavier. So all these things kind of are the challenge. And then of course, what happens end of life,
right?
So verdict.
And ultimately, what does the customer think, right? Like that's ultimately what's going to drive it is like, does the customer like it or do they don't? Because if they don't like the paper, then 2 years it's not a waste because there's been development, there's been innovation. But for Kind Bar, if all of a sudden they drop 20% of their customers because they don't like it, they can't recognize the brand on shelf, they pivot to another brand, whatever it is, then there's there's nothing sustainable about going out of business. Like you can't afford to lose that kind of brand equity and customer presence. So all of this is all theoretical, but at the end of the day, it's like, will the customers buy it? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Bob's always coming in hot with the
best
hot
comment for Avelio.
Right. Of course. Avelio's always right. All good points, Avelio. Anytime you guys want to drop a comment, go for it.
Real quick, I spent time with Jennifer, our friend from Bordeaux, and she was talking about how their material runs better on the equipment currently, and they get more production. They can actually turn it up, and they get fewer rejects. So that kind of thing. We talked about that a little bit earlier. How paper oftentimes is more difficult, but in this case, it's actually better.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do us a favor in the comments. Let us know. Is this a fail or is this a win? If you got any questions on the material and
is Avelio wrong or right? That's all we need to know. Is he right or is he wrong? What side?
So far,
naughty to nature.
It's been right.com. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Drop a comment. Keep the questions going. This is a good conversation. And tag the kind people. Let's see what they come back and say. Maybe they'll sue us. Who knows?